All right, it's story time. And today I'm going to talk about the time I fought the neighborhood bully. This was probably in the summer of 1987. Now, when I was a kid, I was a lot smaller than all the other kids. That made me an easy target. I had a lot of problems with bullies. And to top it off, I was also quite weak, and everybody made me cry really easily. When I was a kid, I was always crying. The littlest thing made me cry. I was very sensitive. Maybe too sensitive. I remember when I was in second grade, a little girl stuck her tongue out at me, and I cried. I don't know. So in the neighborhood that I grew up in, there were a lot of bullies. And of course, I was the easy target. There was one specific bully. He was always picking on me, always making me cry. So one day, he made me cry, and I was sitting in the living room of the apartment that we lived in. My dad came and sat next to me. He told me, "You got to start defending yourself and stop letting these bullies pick on you." I was sitting on the couch crying, listening to my dad, and he told me that I had his permission to start defending myself. So when I was a kid, I watched a lot of wrestling. So when my dad gave me permission to defend myself, that was him giving me permission to go ahead and Hulk Hogan his ass. So one Saturday night in the summer of 1987, I remember it was a Saturday night because my parents had company. There was a family visiting them, and they only had company on weekends. So this Saturday night, we're all outside playing. It's a good Saturday night. And the bully, we shall call him Bully, decided this was a good time to start picking on me in front of everybody else. Now, I had just watched wrestling that Saturday morning, so I was ready to defend myself. He started picking on me, pushing me, making fun of me, and next thing you know, I tackled his ass. So when I tackled him, I realized, man, that was easy. I took him down quick. I took him down hard. Next thing I know, all the neighborhood kids are surrounding us. We're on the ground, and it was like the movies. All the neighborhood kids immediately started surrounding us, and they're screaming and they're cheering it on. This is just like the movie A Christmas Story. Remember when that bully is picking on Ralphie and he takes him down and he starts beating him up, and all the little kids are surrounding them, chanting and screaming? So I'm on top of him and I'm beating him down. And the bully, he had two older brothers. We'll go ahead and call his brothers Saint and Cain. But I also had an older brother. We'll go ahead and call my brother Badass. So as I'm beating up the neighborhood bully, I'm on top of him, I'm swinging away. He starts biting my arm. So I'm just a kid. This is my first real street fight where I'm actually defending myself. I suddenly scream, "Hey, there's no biting." His brothers start laughing and they say, "It's a street fight, anything goes." So I'm like, all right. So I lean up and I start raining fists on his face. Now his brothers, Saint and Cain, they immediately look like they're gonna jump in. So I look at my brother Badass and he's looking at them like, "Don't even think about it." And they don't even think about it. I lean forward, I have him in a headlock. He's screaming and crying. I'm punching him in the face while I'm holding him down with the other arm. All the neighborhood kids are screaming and cheering. This is my moment of glory. So you remember in the Christmas Story where Ralphie's beating up the bully and the little brother's like, "I'm going to tell my dad." Well, he did run, but he didn't tell his dad. I'm on top of Bully. I'm beating his ass. Next thing I know, I feel somebody start lifting me up. Now I think it's all the neighborhood kids lifting me up on their shoulders. I'm raising my hands like, yeah. Suddenly, I feel this pain. I'm like, well, that's weird. Suddenly, I feel the pain again. I turn around, and I see my dad lifting me up into the air, and he's beating my ass. Bully's brother ran, but he didn't tell his dad. He told my dad. Now, you all heard that myth about a Mexican chancla? It wasn't no chancla. This is a huarache, which is like 100 times worse. So all the neighborhood kids that were screaming and cheering are now watching me being dragged down the sidewalk, getting my ass beat by a huarache. I'm kicking and screaming like, "What the hell? You're the one that told me to defend myself." Make it make sense. Now, y'all remember when I told you this was a Saturday night because I remember my parents had company? Well, this family that was visiting, they had two daughters. So my dad's dragging me down the sidewalk, beating my ass with the huarache, and he drags me into our apartment, and he starts beating my ass in the middle of the living room. All in front of these two daughters. This is why I have problems with women to this day. This is why I have problems talking to women. Emotional damage. So my dad's still beating my ass in front of these little girls. And after he's done beating my ass, he doesn't let me go to my room. He makes me sit on the couch while these little girls are watching me. And you know, like when you're a little kid and you're crying, but you like can't even breathe and you're making all these funny noises. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it was like 100 times worse than that. So yeah, that was the story of the night I beat up my neighborhood bully. And you know, he never bothered me again. As a matter of fact, he actually wanted to be my friend. And that was my moment of glory and embarrassment, all in one night. But bully, I still beat your ass.